For your entire life, you've been told a huge lie about this man, Albert Einstein. They told you he was a failure in school, that he struggled just like everyone else. It's a nice story, but it's completely fake. In this video, I'm going to prove that the failed child Einstein is a total myth, and I will show you the 5 insane learning techniques he actually used to become a genius. You're not going to want to miss this. The truth is insane. The idea that Einstein was a bad student is completely made up. When someone showed Einstein a newspaper article claiming he failed math, he literally laughed and said, "I never failed in mathematics. Before I was 15, I had mastered differential and integral calculus." So if that's true, why does everyone believe this lie? It all came from a crazy misunderstanding of the Swiss school's grading system and the fact that Einstein was a total rebel. The myth of the failed child. Let's be clear, Einstein wasn't a failure, he was a rebel. This guy was getting the highest grades possible in physics and math from day one. The problem wasn't his brain, it was that he thought the school system was boring and crushed creativity. He hated rote memorization and teachers who behaved like sergeants. One of them even told him he'd never amount to anything. This rebellious streak made him skip classes he found boring. He literally said he played hooky to go home and study physics by himself. By ditching his boring school, he was forced to create his own, way better learning system. He didn't succeed despite his school. He succeeded because he hacked his own education outside of it. So if he wasn't a bad student, what was his secret? How did he really study? It all comes down to a few powerful methods he used that allowed him to see the universe in a way nobody else could. Number 1, master the thought experiment. Einstein's #1 secret weapon wasn't a lab, it was his imagination. He called them thought experiments, and they are absolutely insane. Instead of starting with complicated math, he would create crazy movies in his head to understand giant ideas. The most famous one happened when he was just 16. He asked himself a simple question: what would a light beam look like if I could run alongside it? That one question broke physics and started his journey to the theory of special relativity. He literally changed the world by just imagining things.
He did it again for general relativity, imagining a person in a free-falling elevator to understand gravity. So here's what I want you to do. Before you start memorizing boring facts, stop. Try to see the idea. If you're learning biology, picture the insane dance of molecules. Once you see it, the boring stuff actually makes sense. Number 2, prove it to yourself. Einstein never just accepted what he was told. He lived by one simple rule. You don't truly understand something until you can prove it to yourself from the ground up. He didn't just read theories, he tore them apart and rebuilt them with his own brain. This started when he was just a kid. His uncle dared him to prove the Pythagorean theorem, and he actually did it by himself. This active problem-solving mindset was everything. He learned physics not by showing up to every lecture, but by obsessively tackling hard problems on his own time. It was the struggle that made him a genius. So I'm challenging you. Stop just listening in class. From now on, you are an active problem solver. When you get a new formula, don't just memorize it. Figure out where it came from. Force yourself to solve problems without looking at the answer. The struggle is where you actually get smarter. Number 3, cultivate deep, uninterrupted focus. In today's world of non-stop notifications, this might be Einstein's most important secret. He knew the absolute power of deep, sustained concentration. His daily routine at Princeton was literally built to protect his mental energy for focused work. He'd work for a massive block in the morning, then go home for lunch and a nap before another thinking session in the afternoon. It wasn't about working 24/7. It was about creating phone-free, sacred blocks of time for pure thought. When he was in the final stretch of figuring out general relativity, he went into what he called an exhausting 4-week frenzy of total isolation and focus. That insane focus let him crack a problem that had stumped the smartest people for centuries. He focused on 1 or 2 big things at a time and gave them his undivided attention. So here's your next challenge. Schedule a 90-minute deep work block. Phone in another room, no notifications, no extra tabs. 1 hour of pure focus is worth way more than 5 hours of distracted, shallow work. Number 4, learn by teaching. This next technique is so simple, it's crazy.
Einstein knew that the fastest way to learn something is to try and teach it to someone else. He famously said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. When you try to put a complex idea into simple terms, you instantly find all the holes in your own understanding. This forces you to go from just recognizing a word to actually understanding it. Because if you can't explain it simply, you don't get it. It's that simple. So the next time you learn something new, grab a friend or a notebook and try to teach it. Explain it like you're talking to a 5-year-old. See where you get stuck or confused. Those are the exact spots where you need to go back and study. Number 5, embrace strategic rest. You probably think geniuses just work all the time, right? Wrong. A huge part of being a genius is knowing when to stop working. Einstein's entire day was built around strategic rest. He famously loved playing the violin. His wife Elsa said he would often turn to music when he got stuck on a problem, play some chords, write something down, and get back to work. He also walked everywhere, every single day. We now know that walking boosts creative thinking. It lets the focus part of your brain rest so other parts can make crazy new connections. And then there's sleep. Get this, Einstein reportedly slept 10 hours every single night. He even took naps. He knew sleep wasn't a waste of time. It was a secret weapon that helps your brain consolidate memories and solve problems. So stop thinking rest is for the weak. It's a critical part of learning. Take walks, play music, and seriously, get more sleep. So the myth is officially busted. Einstein was not a fail child. He was a curious, rebellious, and super disciplined thinker who built his own insane system for learning. And if you enjoyed this video, like it and share it with a friend who needs to see this. Thanks for watching. This is P. Crazer. Let's build productivity systems that win daily.